we have Jim tubing one of these Paraguayan rattlesnakes, or trying to tube one of these Paraguayan rattlesnakes. He is working on doing it from the enclosure, which is just, if it works, it's sometimes easier because the snake has less to get upset about, but I think it's not going to work. So, I'm going to bring it over here. The scientific name for this snake is Crotalus durissus terrificus. There it goes. And those of you who watch our channel will know this, but for anyone else, we do like using the tubing technique on these snakes because their head and neck are fairly small, but their body is relatively big and strong. And so by using the tube, it just helps to restrain the snake a little bit and makes it less likely that they can thrash around or twist and hurt themselves or be more likely to get June. And this one shed a fang. There we go. See if I can get a shot down the tube to get the snake coming up it. Don't know if I can. Nope. Jim can't exactly hold it for my convenience or our convenience. Obviously has to do what the snake needs. So these snakes are the ones that are being used in the development of a drug potentially for non-small cell lung cancer. And yeah, just me picking up the hook, sorry. So this is a pretty exciting thing for us. Hopefully that drug will actually be something that gets approval and is able to help people.
There you go. So of course they have those
On the thing too.
very careful where behind that snake pen and twisted.
We like to use that tape on the tube because it makes the tube look a little bit like a funnel, or I guess a dark place to hide. And sometimes it makes the snakes a little bit more likely to go up into the tube. And I've had people actually kind of argue and say that that makes it worse, but in our experience, it does seem to work better. Yeah, as Jim is saying, whatever works. I don't know why my camera isn't focusing. There we go.
They might need to go over how many people can come up here and clean up.
Sometimes they will come out of there, but yeah. So here's one of the risks of using the tube. You can see how that snake turned around in there. And really, if we were using a tube in the traditional sense, these tubes would be too large.
Like YouTube and all the social influencers, if one of these guys that works for me pick one up by the head like this, I'd fire them because there's no need to. The only time they should be handled like this is for actual venom. It does take energy away from them, so when you see the guys on YouTube milking them, they just throw it away. It's not being actually used in a drug development or anything like that. Only a few of us that actually do it for legit.
We'll enjoy looking at this snake while Jim's deciding what tube to use.
Showing the bleeding foundation at least. Really inside the mouth.
So can you pay attention like from the water?
No. The vans before you take the feather point or from bringing it and get the spot. Yeah. A couple from the zoo and do a reason not to.
I was wondering. Where I get back. Something better, like oh, yeah.
Now, if you look at this from the snake's perspective, they really have no way of understanding what we're trying to get them to do here. And the idea is you give them some place to go, and then you kind of touch the body a little bit, and they'll want to run away from it. But of course, another perfectly reasonable thing to do if someone is touching you on your body is to turn around and look at that thing to try to get away from it or to just see what it is. And yeah, this specific type of rattlesnake, they're very difficult to tube. I think both Jim and I are halfway decent at it now, but sometimes it's just like trying to push a rope, and they don't really cooperate. Or they'll go part way up, which is what this one is doing, and then he is not going to reach down there for it yet because it's not yet committed to going forward, so it's still considering going back. And he can tell that, so he doesn't want to put his hand down there if the snake is about ready to back down into his hand, obviously. And it can get a little bit frustrating if you're... Yeah, we don't really want that loop in the snake, though. Nope.
Yeah, this loop is maybe
And you really, you know, it can be easy to get frustrated with them when they don't cooperate, but you really can't get frustrated. It's not the snake's fault. It doesn't understand what you're doing, and it just is worried or scared. And so you just have to kind of be patient and keep trying, and eventually they will cooperate. But sometimes it takes longer than we'd want it to. Probably less exciting for people. Thought about grabbing it there, but then the snake decided to back up. I feel like people watching this video are going to have a lot of advice about what to do to get this snake in the tube. But I'm telling you that between Jim and myself, I bet we've tubed more things than anyone on the planet. So if this snake is not cooperating for Jim, it probably wouldn't cooperate for anyone.
Everybody's got their own behaviors, and sometimes
I don't know if you could hear Jim talking there. I certainly can't hear him. Oops. Oh, he almost grabbed it when he shouldn't have there. But he was just saying that each snake is an individual. Each snake is different.
he's got a habit of coming
And
back out. That makes her a little bit hungry.
when they're now the snake has kind of decided it's just not going to move, which also can make it difficult. And sometimes I'll do a thing with small snakes where I'll like hold the body down a little bit with the tube, but it's really difficult to do that with these snakes because they're so strong that if you push them down with the tube, they just flail their body and fling the tube right off. It's See, this one's doing that. I've gone up 2 inches or 4 inches, but not enough to make it possible to grab. And you know, there is a little bit of a balancing act with the tape because we still need to be able to tell what the snake is doing. So we can't completely cover it with the tape, but at the same time, the snake can still see out at part of it too. So, and it might just be that this one is getting spooked by seeing movement outside of the tube. This is definitely one of the more difficult times we've had with one of these in quite a while. And the snake likes its loop in its body, which makes it quick for it to pull back. Like right there is where we would like it to stop. And was able to hold the tension there to get it in. There we go. Now, snake is trying to turn around. As I mentioned before, that is a thing you have to be aware of. We gave quite a bit of venom despite how long it took there.
Yeah.
Wow, that one really came out quickly.
It's not as bad as when the hook come out the tube and then you throw it across the room and then you have a tube in your hand. Where about you guys from? Okay. If you go to the Louisville Zoo and you see the snouted cobra and the mamba, those are our babies. They were born here. Yeah. And we're about to bring some more anti-venom in.
Yeah. Here's one of the younger ones. Yeah, I'm going to step back because she's going to bring this one out. It's not wanting to cooperate real great. I need to zoom out. The one thing I did want to talk about with these guys is their color. And we're in breeding season for them now. And they're really interesting because the males, I think they have a slightly lighter color all year long. But during breeding season, they get quite light. And they're more of like a, you know, brownish tan color. Even though there's obviously multiple shades there. And then the females tend to be more like have like a chocolatey brown look to them, maybe. Next time we have a female, I will point out the female. This one here is a male. That's a pretty good strike right there. We don't really want them to bite the tube, but sometimes when they flail around like this, it happens. Sometimes if I'm tubing them, I will put the hook kind of over its head a little bit as I'm bringing the tube up, because that sometimes will prevent them from biting. Not always, though. And you can see when Jim's using the hook there, he's using it along kind of the bottom of the snake, or like closer to the ventral surface. And sometimes that works better. Sometimes it works better to touch kind of the top of the snakes, like right on the back. Just sort of depends on the situation. I'm not sure how well you can see the color, but this one is a female. Try to do a little close-up of her back or tail once she comes up to the podium.
Yeah. I know I had a bunch of those. South American rattles.
Let me just show you, or maybe Jim can hold her up for a second so you can see the color. And I can see it's a little bit deeper, darker brown than the male.
So these kind of ones, do you need the one that's Crotalus or okay. Anybody want to come back to me?
This is a female as well. That was going quickly. And that does happen sometimes where they decide, okay, I'm going to really go this way.
Okay.
Hang on. Okay.
If that's everybody, just close the door.
What's up?
Yeah. If that's everybody, close the door so
Okay.
we're killing the air conditioner.
Yep.
Another kind of interesting thing about these guys is they have a kind of triangular body shape. And ours do have a lot of body weight. And that is because, yeah,
No.
suppose I should talk about the rattle a little bit. So, yeah, this one is not going to cooperate very well.
You know what they're doing?
Maybe. They might have some combat-y thoughts. Though I've had females do this too, so.
Yeah,
No,
but I
but-
mean, it seems like today has been really the day.
Yeah, so Jim is saying that,
See what he's doing with the hook? Touching here, he tries to.
I think the fact that this one's biting makes your theory not correct. But they definitely do sometimes think that they need to have male combat with the tube or the hook if it's a male, because it's another kind of cylindrical object pushing on them. So sometimes the males will interpret that as another male. This can also just be defensive behavior. I did say I was going to talk about the rattle. The rattle is made of keratin, same stuff as your fingernail, same stuff as a snake's scales. And they get a new segment on their rattle every time they shed their skin. And if the snake is eating well and doing well, that can be every 6-8 weeks, maybe even a little more than that. If it's a juvenile and growing, they're going to shed more frequently. So the length of the rattle really doesn't have anything to do with the age of the snake. It's just how many times the snake has shed its skin. And sometimes the rattle will break off if the snake gets it caught on something or decides to rattle too vigorously. Now sometimes when people see these snakes, wow, that one really does have a long rattle, they think they look an awful lot like diamondbacks. And their pattern is a bunch of diamonds. But this is not a diamondback. We call these Paraguayan since they're a bloodline from Paraguay. They're also sometimes called South American rattlesnakes. That one was doing a little, when you could see it, that one was doing a little fur puffing there, which is a defense mechanism.
He's not gonna bite. Just one person,
Yeah, I see. So this snake doesn't want to put the other fang down. There it goes. Well, here's a big female. We're pretty sure this one is going to have babies soon. We do try to breed them. You can see her back third is fairly rotund looking. It can be sometimes really obvious when a snake has babies in it. Rattlesnakes, of course, have live birth. They do not lay eggs. Sometimes it's really obvious, and then sometimes, well, she decided to back up. Sometimes they kind of move the babies up and down in their body, and it is less obvious. But she's pretty big, so.
we'll do that. I don't know if it's going to go again, but possibly if they turn around. It's possible when they turn around in one and have the mouth coming out the other end. That would be a big video too.
And this one is doing the same thing I had one do. Maybe I even have a video of it where it goes up partway and then decides to stop. There we go. She is turning around in there. I think at one point I was starting to say that under most circumstances these tubes would actually be too large of a diameter for these snakes. Normally if you're using tubes you want the head of the snake to stay inside the tube, and that way you can give the snake a shot or do whatever medical sort of procedure or measuring procedure that you might need to do. And you want me to palpate her?
Yeah, since it's staying.
With here I am palpating this snake. Oh yeah, I can feel lumps. Yeah. But since we need these snakes to crawl all the way through the tube and their head to come out on the other side, we have to use a tube that's big enough for their big old body. Next weekend.
Same weekend as
Same weekend we always have it.
no, I'm not talking about Halloween, I'm talking about Halloween. The Gorge, Oktoberfest.
I don't know. Probably it's the same weekend they usually have it. You're smart this time.
I'm going on lunch.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
You got it.
Yeah.
Dinner set
to the table?
You want me to hold the end? Okay. Those new people should come right to the extraction.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Oh, hello!
I'm live.
I heard. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it caused a lot more drama than.
You can really see the light color on this male. He's really pretty. He has not been with a lady this year. But
He could be.
he could be with a lady, but I don't know that we have a lady available for him, so he might just be lonely this year. But he is big enough to breed.
Did we? No. Have we gotten anything about some of those timbers to Oklahoma?
So how long were you?
No.
I was never.
I just.
Oh, yeah.
That one cooperated nicely going in the tube. Okay. This is one of the bigger, older males that we have. If I'm remembering correctly, this snake is about 13 or 14 years old. Somewhere in that range.
What else? Yeah.
Caught my fingernail underneath the plastic.
Yeah.
Shed a fang also.
Yeah.
I decided to come back down in the tube for a minute. There we go. Oh. That one's really biting hard. Now this female actually already had babies this year. You might have seen in the previous footage that there's some little babies underneath where the pin mat is. This is the mom of those guys. So we do have some snakes together now to breed, but we will not be breeding anyone that already had babies or that produced infertile eggs, and instead of babies, they really need at least a year off to recuperate. They probably go longer than that in the wild, I would imagine, but
Several years.
yeah, here, even though they're really well fed, we're still going to give them that year to recover. Wait. She's getting ready to shed. I did not realize that.
I noticed it.
Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for more KRZ videos, and don't forget to hit the bell so you know when it's happening. Follow us on social media at KY Reptile Zoo for more scaly content. Lastly, come visit us in Slade, Kentucky, and check out our website at kyreptilezoo.com for merch and booking programs. See ya!